Welcome back, folks. This is Shane. In today's video, we're checking out the Positive Grid Spark Go. This will be a full deep dive review and a bit of a tutorial on how to get your tones set up with this great little practice amplifier. So my only other video on the channel was the first impressions video, just testing out the lead solo tone that Dr. Rick programmed in here. He said it sounded pretty great, and he was right. It absolutely did. This will cover a little bit more about what you need to know about it when it comes to the app and how to set it up, and also some of the technical specifications. So everything will be timestamped down below. You can skip ahead back or forth if you so choose. And as always, I'm going to play some guitar to begin with. If you want to skip it, check the timestamps. Here we go. Let's take a look at the hardware of this. I'll give you a quick overview. Now, the Positive Grid Spark Go is extremely small. When you compare it up against a mobile phone, it's actually smaller than my iPhone 11, which isn't the latest phone by any stretch of the imagination, but you can see just how small this amplifier is in terms of its length. It is quite chunky on the opposite side, which is good. It does help it stand up a little more, but if you are using this with a cable, you can easily topple this over just because it's not that heavy. But overall, the build and design quality is excellent. We get this rubberized feel here. We can plug in our guitar over here, or wireless pack, which I recommend using, of course. I'll link to these guys down below. They're really good. Now we get a headphone output on the front here, and if you're playing or streaming music back through here, we get a volume up and down option for the music playback, which is awesome. Our volume control is this one for our guitar. This is a separated volume anytime you're using the music. Now we get 4 presets that we can store, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you can just simply tap this button to cycle between them, which is fantastic. Over here we get our on-off and Bluetooth pairing button, and we also get our USB-C port. Being that we do get a USB-C port, it makes it really easy to use this as an audio interface to your computer, which is great. It means you're able to capture really great tones that will sound better than this actually mic'd up in the room, but I'll be miking this up for this particular video. On the back, we get this rubberized sort of plate here as well. One of the cool things about this, we get a magnetized front grille. It's a little bit tricky to get off. I've tried a few times. There it is. Here's how it looks under the grille cloth here, and the cool thing is we can replace it with a black one if we want, but I much prefer this gold one as well. So our speaker is on this side, and this looks like some sort of acoustic porting over here as well. So I'd expect to see this moving when you're actually playing, whatever the case may be. But yeah, very good build quality, no complaints there, and I like the fact you can actually change the grill cloth. And this is a hardened plastic, by the way. It's not like a tweed amplifier or anything like that. Included, we get a rechargeable battery that gives us up to 8 hours of runtime. This is, of course, dependent on how loud you run the amplifier. Including the box here, we get a couple of these carry handles as well. If you want to use those, you can. But just as it is, it's a really small and compact practice amplifier. I don't think I've seen another one quite as small as this. First up, I want to run you through some of the different tones you can just get by clicking on a preset. These are really good. I'll just show you a handful of them, and then we'll go over to creating our very own sound and storing it as well. So this one's called Dancing in the Room, which is kind of that John Mayer sound. Now, the clean tones on this, while they're very nice to listen to, they're not very loud if you're just using the amplifier, even with the volume most of the way up, but it still sounds very good. This is bridge and middle pickups together. over to neck. That's a great tone already, which is fantastic. Thanks to the app here, we can cycle through all the different presets all by genre as well, which is fantastic. I've just clicked on all at the top. We're going to go over to sweep memory. This is neck and middle pickups together. Another really nice clean sort of strat tone. Beautiful. Again, though, it's not that loud in the room. This next one's called Two Stone SP50. It's under the blues option, so this is kind of like a 2-rock amp over the edge of breakup. Right up my alley, that one. I like it. It's got some really nice delay and reverb on there as well. This next preset's great if you want to play some blues. It does have some delay on there, but I'll turn that off in just a moment. Here we go. So if you want to turn off the delay, just tap on it like this, turn it off, and it's out of the signal chain. I am hearing a little bit of speaker distortion with this one just based on the volume of the amp. So if you want to turn the overall volume down here, you can just simply use the amp volume control like that and turn it down. And that's how you sort out the speaker distortion. Over to some of the rock presets. Take a listen to Crazy Crue. This one is so good. It also has a tube screamer on, so we're going to turn it off and then back on. I'll show you the difference. So this is As It Is. Now, if you don't want that much drive, you can turn off the tube drive. I mean, that responds great. You click the pedal on, you notice a difference, which is awesome. This next one's called Dark Soul, which is based on a Soldano 100. It's a very different sound to the Marshall. Have a listen. I think that sounds pretty great. Let us know what you think in the comments section. All right, now what we're going to do is go over to some heavier tones. So we're going to kick things off with the Iron Hammer one. Now, this is basically just an amp tone that's completely dry. There is some compression on there as well, but that's it. So there's no reverb or anything. So if you like the dry sort of metal sound, you can get it out of this. I'm not a metal player, like I mentioned, so anyway, I'll give it a go. I mean, that to my ear sounds great for that sort of style of music. Let's go over to another one. This next one's called Millenial Lead. I like the name of this one. It sounds pretty cool. Looks like it's based on a Friedman. We also have some delay and reverb. Let's take a look at that. We've got some digital delay and some hall reverb, which is a great sound. So, yeah, let's give this a shot. This tube drive is still on. Here we go. And being that it's a lead one, let's play some lead. Actually sounds better with the tube drive off. Back on. Yeah, it actually sounds better with that off. So, like with most things, anytime you get a preset, tinker around a little bit because you might find you like something on or off, or you might want to change the reverb type or whatever the case may be. But they're really great starting points, which is the most important thing. And lastly, while I've got the guitar still, I just wanted to test out two of these. So we've got a couple of different options. Spooky Melody, which is a Fender amplifier with this beautiful sounding vibrato pedal. So we've got this black panel amplifier here with this really cool vibe pedal. Let's give this a shot. This is neck pickup. Alright, there we go. So as you can hear, it sounds pretty nice. This last preset I want to showcase under the alternative option is called Hide and Seek. This has a bit of dirt on there, but it's also very atmospheric. It's pretty cool. Have a listen to this. Yeah, man, that's awesome. That sounds great. Up next, I'm going to show you how to save up to 4 presets and then recall them using the amplifier. So on the top of the amplifier, there's a hardware button. It allows you to switch between whatever 4 channels or sounds that we save into the unit, which is great. So this first one's called Les Paul Blues, because Rick mostly now plays Les Paul, so that's what that is. If we click on this and then double tap on the amp, we've got all of these different amps to choose from Roland to Orange to Matchless to Dumble style ones and all these other ones, right? Some look locked, which means they're probably unavailable unless you purchase them or something like that. I'm not a big fan of DLC, to be honest, but it is what it is. All right, let's go to this one, Blues Boy. I'm also going to turn off the Tube Screamer. So that is now off. Let's have a look at this amp tone. Actually sounds pretty good. There's a lot of delay on there, so I'll just turn that off for the moment. I mean, to my ear, that's almost my sound, right? So now I can just crank up the gain a little bit more. What I'm going to do, I'm going to change the reverb. Now, this whole reverb sounds great, but I'm actually a fan of a different type of reverb now. I much prefer plate reverb. I'm a huge fan. So let's have a listen. Yeah, it just has this beautiful spread to it. So we're going to leave it on that one. I think that sounds pretty great. Now, we can either fiddle around with the amp a little bit more, or we can add some dirt pedals, whatever the case may be. So we're going to make sure that that is off. That's the compressor. We're going to turn the noise gate on. Awesome. No more hiss in the background. You probably can't hear it based on this mic. I'm not too sure. But anyway, let's have a listen to this. So this is with the Tube Screamer currently off. Volume down. Volume up. Now I can just hear the speaker distorting. It's not coping with the overdrive level where it's set. So I have to bring that down slightly. And you'll probably find this to be the case with a lot of programming your own sound. If you've got the amp a little bit too loud, the speakers aren't going to handle it very well. And it just is what it is. It's just one of those things. So I'm just going to turn down the volume a hair here. Let's have a listen. Now you might find you might want to add a modulation or delay or whatever the case may be. So you can do that. And if you double tap on the delay option, there's all of these different ones as well, which is awesome. So there's plenty to choose from. I like the fact you've got pretty much everything you need to get the sound that you want, which is great. So let's turn this back on. Man, that bend was slightly out, which means you hear it way too many times. Anyway, so we've got the effects level over here. We can turn this down, which is basically the mix control. And that's getting closer to the sound that I would like to solo with, except there's way too many repeats. So last time. I think that sounds pretty good. So let's double or tap on the three dots up the top here. And you can either overwrite the one that you're on, save as new, which means we can save it in one of the predetermined slots. But being that this isn't my amplifier, I'm not going to save over Rick's presets because I know he'll just want to program that back. So it's nice and easy to do that. And that's how you get it done. Let's wrap this video up. I'm going to give you my final thoughts, pros and cons of the Positive Grid Spark Go amplifier. I think one of the cool things about this is the built-in rechargeable battery. I love that idea. It means you don't have to go powering it with 4 or 6 AA batteries like you'd find on the NUX BT Lite Mark II. Now, I power this thanks to the USB port and a battery bank that I've got, and I can let it run all day. But, you know, having built-in batteries is generally pretty helpful. Now, this is a lot smaller than the NUX option, but it's also, I think, slightly louder as well. So if that's important to you, go for this. Now, there are restrictions on the volume, especially when it came to the clean tones. The clean tones just aren't very loud. You can add a compressor, which kind of helps, but it caps out pretty quickly. And I think they've left a little bit of headroom there for the drive tones, because as you throw on the dirt pedals, the fuzz pedals, all that kind of stuff, or even some of the dirty amps, you get a little bit more volume or perceived volume in the room. Now, I love the volume control here as well. I think it's a really great addition. Again, like I said on my first impressions video, I really feel like this is best suited to a wireless pack player more so than someone plugging a guitar directly into the jack here, because it's so small, it's very easy to tip over. I love the build quality on this. The rubberized feel, like I mentioned in my first impressions video, feels great. It does get quite warm on the back here, so just keep that in mind. I probably wouldn't want to lay this down for hours and hours on a surface that, you know, where it might heat up. But generally speaking, I've got no complaints with it. Now, if you want to run this into a computer as an audio interface, you can do that and get much better tones than you heard in this video. But this video is all about the tones you can get with it mic'd up in the room. I figure most people buying this, you know, sure, you can use it for home recording, much like you can with the NUX BT over here. But basically, this little amplifier shines for portability. And I think a lot of people would be buying this to throw into their bag, whatever the case may be, as a great small practice amplifier. It's got a headphone output. Being able to save 4 of your own presets is really cool. And the app functionality is good on the most part. Now, to my eye, it looks like there's some DLC, which I think stands for downloadable licensed content, which means you got to pay to play. Now, I don't like that in any product, especially, you know, it's in the gaming industry pretty heavily, but it's kind of a bit of a bummer that you just can't access all the features once you own the hardware. You got to sort of pay extra to get more out of it, which might be a deal breaker for some people. I don't think NUX does the exact same thing. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure everything I saw on that app was already unlocked, which I really like the thought of. Now, when it comes to getting certain songs, licensed artists, and all that kind of stuff, I understand that you've got to pay to use those services. As NUX, as Positive Grid, I should say, would probably have to pay to use them as well. So that kind of makes sense. But if you're locking off amp features until you pay for them, I think that's a bit of a bummer. But overall, man, this is super cool, and a massive thanks to Dr. Rick for letting me borrow this guy over here. This is a cool little amplifier, man. I really dig it, and I'll be posting this back right after this video. I've had it for way too long. Thanks, Rick, and thanks for watching. Let us know what you think of this video. Leave a thumbs up, and you can check this out using the links below. Thanks again. See ya.